Back in Houston, Texas, Family YMCA for the men's 5th place finals. It's Andy Nett and Emmett Peixoto. My name is Dave Vincent. Thank you for tuning in to the Race for 8 season number 2. And this is stop number 3 as we are gearing up for all those big race stops that are coming up around the corner, Dave. We have Colorado, of course, Anchorage, Alaska in a couple weeks, Denver, Colorado at the DAC, and then we're going to go to Salt Lake City, then the Players' Championship. It's been a long road already. It feels like we've been touring the country, and I think it really started with that trip to Ireland for the World Championships and then immediately into race stop number 1 at the U.S. Open of Handball. Then it seemed like just 2 weeks later, we're there at Tucson, Arizona for race stop number 2. And here we are after having about a good month off in Texas, in Houston, at the YMCA for this amazing race stop.
Well, Dave, this is the classic matchup of the boxer versus puncher.
For 5th place.
Andy Nett being
from
the
Minnesota,
puncher, Dave. He's got that amazing
from
power.
The United States.
Emmett Peixoto, very versatile. He can play the ground and pound style, Dave, and he can also play a more methodical defensive type of game.
Good luck
Andy Nett, Dave, is wouldn't say one-dimensional, Dave, but the dimension that he does play is very effective. It's a lot of power. But Emmett Davis just continuing to get stronger and more comfortable with his right hand. Watching him just now during warm-ups, Dave, his right hand off the back wall looked really smooth, really letting the ball drop, hitting a lot of flat rollouts.
Well, you and I have watched Emmett play since he was 15, 16 years old when he was making his way. He's actually had about 4 or 5 different versions as he's molded into a player that can play methodically or ground and pound. But that early Emmett Peixoto is very similar to the Andy Nett that we see now. The one that would retrieve and hit the ball as hard as anybody on the tour, have an amazing right hand. Fadeaway left kill shot. Very similar to the style Andy Nett is now, but Emmett's got so many different dimensions to his game.
The scoreboard, Dave, actually says game 1, but this is a 1-game match to 25. And Andy took that shot out of the air, Dave. It looked like it would have been a big back wall setup. Andy's been very successful in 3-wall, particularly for the limited amount of 3-wall that he actually plays. He only plays the game twice a year. Emmett, of course, is a multiple-time 3-wall national champion. Andy telling me, Dave, before this match, he loves playing 3-wall. It's just so hard on his body. He doesn't think he ever wants to do it again, but I have a feeling that he'll be back in Toledo this year, just as you won't be back in Toledo. Emmett breaks over the top of that ball, Dave. Kept the ball down.
Short ball on the line.
I thought it was good, but there's no appeal here. Unfortunately, Anthony Celestio could use us in the booth as his appeal judges. That is a rule.
I just want to see that written in the rule book, though. It sounds like our rules are somewhat like playing my dad in pool.
Watch here, let's look. I saw it short. Or, there it is. Short ball.
Well, if they come to us in the booth, Dave, we're going to disagree with each other every time, so it's not really going to overturn anything.
That's a good point.
0 plays 2.
Just cancel each other out. I want to welcome you back into the facility, Dave, after a nice break that you took this afternoon.
I thought you got it too. It looked like it.
Hope that you enjoyed beautiful downtown Houston.
2 plays 0.
I see you worked up a nice sweat, so you must have crossed the street.
Nope, just peeling an orange.
Point.
Dave, Andy should have plenty of energy. This is his first match of the day. Yesterday, played in 2 very lopsided matches, defeating Abe Montillo 25-9 and then losing to Charlie Shanks 25-8. So he's been on the court, Dave, just under 1 hour, believe it or not. He was given a forfeit into this 5th place final.
0. Set out.
This is dissimilar to what we saw from Emmett early today when he fell way
0
behind
plays 4.
early in the match. Trailed 13-6 against Anthony Celesto before scoring the last 19 of 20 points to close out that match.
Hinder ball. Zero plays 4.
Emmett just won the Olympic Club Championship, Dave, for the 56th time. I kid, it was only the 17th time. Defeated Sam Cass to win that event. Sam Cass is a strong young ball player, Dave, out of Northern California.
4 plays 0.
Went to school in Davis, California. Emmett goes to that corner kill to the left wall there.
It looks to me right now, Dave, like Andy Nett is regressing a little bit in his game. He's not using the variety that's made him a top player over the last year.
Well, Andy Nett's not a playoff player.
Traditionally, he's not, Dave, but he did take 5th place in the last event. Defeated John Iglesias to get his first ever playoff win.
Nice serve.
And then Charlie Shanks. Now, Dave, what you couldn't tell on the camera there is
7-0.
Emmett has a wicked reverse down the left. It's a soft reverse that just dies.
Hinder. over. Short ball.
Problem with that soft reverse is that
Second
Emmett
serve.
does telegraph it. He takes more off of it than his normal stroke, so you know it's coming while he's hitting it.
Well, Dave, I think if you hit the perfect shot or the perfect serve, it doesn't matter if your opponent knows what's coming. It's just almost impossible to defend. I mean, Dave, I know you playing
8 plays 0.
high-level baseball, if somebody throws you the curveball on the black and you know it's coming, what can you really do with it anyway?
9-0.
You just wait on it and aim for the black, I guess. But Emmett's on a tear right now, Dave.
Do you take that to the opposite field, or?
There's some hindering going on here, but no calls from the ref. No, I mean, you really have to say, if you know it's going to be on the black outside, you just have to wait for it, put your weight on the front foot, and go with it over the second baseman's head.
Okay.
Aim for the gap. But that's if you know it's there.
And Andy goes right back to the left there. Emmett puts his hands up, but Andy had the whole side of the court there.
I'm gonna call it a point. Because I thought I'm letting you play. I thought you guys were separated enough where you wanted the shot down the left.
Well, Emmett is right there.
Okay.
You see Andy has the whole right side of the court here. He goes right at Emmett.
1 plays 9.
I don't know, Dave, if that's a screen. Pretty close.
It's one of those that
Short ball.
the player puts himself in a bad position and then complains that he's in the way.
Second serve.
So I'm kind of 50-50 myself on that.
But Emmett put himself in a bad position, gave Andy the whole right side of the court, but Andy went to the left.
Because he knew Emmett would go to the right.
And that's a terrible shot from Andy Nett.
But see, Andy knew Emmett would veer off to the right, so he hit the ball back down to the left. So Emmett went to the right
9
and then
plays
was
1.
screened by Andy's ball that went to the left. I think it's just bad positioning. If Emmett wouldn't have anticipated that shot to the right, there wouldn't have been a screen. And Andy didn't do anything wrong other than make a terrible shot.
9 plays 1.
9-1. There's that reverse that you're talking about.
There's a very good shot from Andy Nett. Emmett had a back wall opportunity there, but didn't convert.
1 plays 9.
And that's the problem, Dave. You go for the back wall kill. If it doesn't stay down, a lot of times your opponent's left with a very good opportunity. And that's a terrible swing from Andy Nett. Andy actually has a hole in his swing there, Dave, just below
9
his
plays
waist,
1.
between his waist and his knee with his left hand.
Short ball.
Has not yet developed that part of his swing.
Second
And Dave,
serve.
every player has a hole in his swing somewhere. It's just a matter of how often you can find it I believe that's what made Dave Chapman so great, is he knew where each player's hole was in their swing, and he could exploit that
1 plays 9
with more frequency and deliberately than any other player.
On
Emmett.
paper, these two seem like they would be in just a ground and pound fest with a lot of
9
amazing
plays
gets
1.
and 7-7
Short ball.
tied score right about now, but instead you're seeing a blowout from Emmett because he's
Short.
really had a great serving day so
Second
far.
serve.
I mean, there's been a lot of terrible sloppy hand errors from Andy Nett, but
I think-
Emmett's got at least 4 aces on a serve.
I think Emmett's forcing a lot of those errors. Andy, every time Andy gets up into the front court, Dave, Emmett is pushing him out of the front court.
Skip.
And Andy just has no momentum going into that shot.
Point.
He stood and waited for that shot to come off the back wall. He didn't move back with the ball and follow the ball out towards the front wall. He just tried to 100% arm
10
that shot,
plays
and he
1.
skips it. And that's a great shot from Emmett. A revolving door offhand shot. You don't see too many
11
people,
plays
Dave,
1.
taking a shot with the revolving door in the
Short
right
ball.
corner and using their offhand.
Second serve.
And there's another point for Emmett Peixoto as we get closer to halftime.
Timeout, 1 minute.
And a halftime
12-1 when we resume.
couldn't come any quicker for Andy Nett, who now takes a timeout here at 12-1. This is the race for 8. We're in Houston, Texas at the YMCA, and we appreciate the fact that you've tuned in to watch this broadcast here. My broadcast partner, Dave Fink, is now mobile.
Dave, I'm here with Natti Alvarado Jr. Natti, first of all, congratulations on another final here on the Race for 8 Pro Tour. What's going through your mind today? You lose the first game 15-1. You come back and win the match. But have you ever been in a
Player
match like
Zoom's
that where
12
it's so
plays 1.
lopsided in both games?
You know, I'm trying to remember of a match, and I don't think so. I just remember kept saying to myself, just try to keep, him in the court longer and try to get warm, because I was not. He was hitting everything, and I wasn't. So he played really well, and I played really crappy.
But you certainly turned it around. You look like vintage Natti Alvarado Jr. in games number 2 and 3. Now I see you're getting ready here. The aroma here reeks of Ben Gay. I mean, you have some soreness now going into this.
You know what? Before I started today, I kind of got on the court a little bit late, and that probably cost me that first game. And so I'm trying to get her earlier, because I know my body takes a little bit longer to warm up now. And now I'm using any method possible that I can get the advantage.
Okay. Now, as far as our calculations, you haven't won a pro event since 2009. You've been in the finals of a lot of events. How excited are you playing Charlie Shanks today, who, incidentally, you've never lost to?
Yeah, that's a confidence builder or a boost. But, Charlie beat a good player today. And, so anything can go in there today. But today, really, that's why I'm here early, is to get off, to start before the match actually starts.
All right, now we're going to let you get back to stretching and getting ready for the match. We're looking forward to the final. Dave?
Thank you very much, Mr. Fink, catching Natti Alvarado on the sidelines as he prepares for his finals against Charlie Shanks, as Emmett Peixoto gets that point now, bringing it to 14-1 in this lopsided 5th place positioning. Andy Nett looks uninspired, and there's a little collision there on the floor, and Emmett falls on top of Andy, and
Andy, do you need it?
this is going to be replayed.
Thank you.
That's a good insight that you had
14-1
with
over.
Natti there, Dave, when he mentions that he just felt like he was late as
3
we are now at
minutes, guys,
halftime. But
15-1.
he says that he feels like he's late getting warmed up as he goes in there, and clearly Aaron Garner was warmed up. As Dave now goes mobile toward Emmett Peixoto. Let's see what he has to say with Emmett here during this halftime.
Emmett, you've got a 15-1 lead here at halftime. The last time you guys played Andy to feed you, what's different here today?
Well, I'm applying a little bit more power. That's one thing. My serve's working is another. His serve isn't. And I mean, I'd like to say it's all me, but he's having a little bit of an off day.
Do you put more pressure on yourself being off to such a great start? Or you just go in there and just try and keep doing what you're doing? You're only 10 points from taking this match.
I'm trying not to think about that. I'm just trying to play 1 point at a time. But, I mean, it's hard not to put pressure on yourself sometimes and think outside of the game. But I'm just going to be in there 1 point at a time, just try and finish this so I can think about it later.
All right, well, maybe we'll hear from you after the match. Thanks for the interview, Dave.
Thank you very much. Emmett Peixoto saying he'd like to think it's him that's doing it, but he believes that Andy Nett is just having an off day. Some of these players get into these playoffs and don't necessarily get as motivated as the early rounds when they're playing 5th through 6th, when it's a difference of only $50 to $100 in prize money and just a couple percentage points. And that possibly could be where Andy Nett is at right now. Also, Andy doesn't want to give anything away for when this might really count in a round of 8 some other tournament. So, you know, Andy's a pretty smart guy, and he might not be giving his all at this point. But trailing 15-1 is not where he wants to be, as Emmett Peixoto is going to prepare himself for the second half and hopefully go on and do what he needs to do. Let's go back to Dave.
Dave, I'm here with the Sleek Panther, the legendary Tyler Handball, one of the best-looking guys in the game. I don't know if we can get you on film here, Tyler, but Tyler, you've been off the tour for a couple of years now, unfortunately, but what's changed? I mean, you see some of the same names, but some new names as well. What do you see that's different now than when you were at your prime?
I'd say a couple changes. The scoring format has changed a little bit, and the ball has changed, which I think are two good things for the game. And I think that, you know, it's not only good for the younger guys coming up, but some of the older guys that have played for a while. I think that format allows it a little bit more of an even matchup.
Well, Tyler, you're still playing really good handball. Unfortunately, you hurt your left shoulder just about a week ago and put out of the qualifier, but you're in the finals of the senior race for 8. How much does that senior race for 8 motivate you to keep playing and keep training?
It definitely motivates me to see some of these guys that I used to play with on the regular tour to keep playing. And I think, you know, the more guys we can get out, the more other people will kind of come out of the woodwork and start playing again. It's good because we're still competitive, and this gives us an avenue to kind of let it out.
Well, Tyler, I watched you play last night against John Bike, and you look flawless. Do you have any thoughts of coming back and playing in some of the regular Race for 8 events?
For right now, I can't say for sure, but it just all depends on how this left shoulder holds up. Like, I like to, and I miss the competition, and I'd like to see how I could do against some of these young guys, you know, at my age, but it just depends on this left shoulder.
Natti Alvarado is playing Charlie Shanks tonight in the final. You've played Natti Alvarado quite a bit. I'm not sure if you played Charlie Shanks, but what are you expecting tonight in that final?
Yeah, that's a hard call because Charlie Shanks, I watched him play earlier. He beat Alan Garner fairly easy. He's serving really good. He's a very offensive player. So for Natti to get in there and beat him, he's got to kind of neutralize Charlie's power, get the serve back, and Natti has a good serve in himself. It's just really trying to, you know, get Charlie out of the front court, get into a little bit of defense, and then take control. So I think it's going to be a tight match if Natti can get on Charlie's serve.
We're watching this 5th place final right now between Emmett and Andy Nett. Emmett plays somewhat similar to you. He makes a lot of gets. He keeps his opponent moving around, and you know, Andy's the kind of guy that is a streaky player. What does Andy need to do differently here? I mean, Andy's pretty much being dominated by Emmett, and I know you've done this to a lot of opponents, just taking them completely out of their games.
Yeah, you know, I think Emmett can kind of do that to you, and it seems like Andy's he's not quite motivated to be in there. He doesn't have the, you know, the gumption to get up there and play the point. So and Emmett can take that out of you, of course, with his all-around play, and he's fast. He gets everything. It's frustrating playing that guy. But Andy he really needs to dig deep and maybe try something new, because whatever he's doing now is just it's not cutting it.
Well, Tyler, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be able to see you in your senior Race for 8 final tomorrow, but good luck, and we certainly hope to see you in the remaining events, both on the senior and regular tour. Dave?
Thank you, Mr. Fink, talking to the Sleek Panther, Tyler Hamill. Great interview there as we go back here on this court. It's Andy Nett serving at 1-16 and just sort of a 60% Andy Nett.
Well, I think Tyler Hamill, Dave, nailed it. Just doesn't seem to have the gumption. We've seen that from Andy Nett quite a bit in the playoffs in the past, where he'd never won a match. He was 0-10 in the playoffs coming into Tucson, where he broke that streak and won, but now it looks like it's the, oh, that's
wow,
absolutely incredible.
We'll see a replay of that when this one ends.
And that's just incredible.
Nice,
that was an amazing play right there from Emmett, and then he did not want to lose the rally. There's nothing like making a superstar play, but it sort of seems to go away if you don't win the point or the side out. Emmett actually tried to win that point, and let's watch what he does to get it.
And that ball, Dave, was hit 82 miles an hour, and Emmett still had the reflexes and coordination to return that ball behind his back.
It was a side out. 16
That
plays
shot,
2.
the last shot that Emmett hit right there, was about the hardest one we've seen in this tournament from him. I mean, he really laid into it.
It's interesting, though, Dave, talking to Emmett at halftime there, recognizing that, you know, he's playing good handball, but also Andy Nett's been a little bit off. Emmett's a veteran. He's been around long enough to know.
17 plays 2.
But, Dave, this match is similar to the match that Andy Nett lost to Luis Cordova for 7th place at the Players' Championship in Seattle. Andy losing that match 25-4 in just 14 minutes. And this is
18 plays 2.
right on pace for that same kind of loss.
Skip.
If you're Andy Nett, though, David, can't settle too well to have lost to Charlie Shanks 25-8, and now losing 18-2 here in your very next match. Can't leave Houston with a lot of confidence. But as every player in the NFL says, it is what it is.
Short ball. Second serve. (19-2).
Dave, in chess, you can actually just lay your king down and signal
22.
that you're done. You've thrown in the towel. Is that an option here on the Race for 8 tour?
Well, the players have been warned that they have to play their matches to get paid, and I think Andy Nett doesn't want to play this match, but he's in there doing,
plays 2.
you know, what he's told he has to do. So,
but I'm saying in the middle of the match, can you just sort of throw in the towel?
I guess you could.
Would you still get paid?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
he's more than halfway through.
I mean, look, you know you're not going to win. We know you're not going to win. You don't want to be there.
(23 plays 2).
And look at this shot.
Andy Nett cannot get out of this club quicker. And you will see when this final point goes here and Andy just lets it go.
What's the over-under on how fast he's actually out on
the street? 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, I'm going to go with I'm going to go with
match,
starting
guys.
right now, 54 seconds.
Congratulations, Emmett.
Wow, that's,
Yep.
I don't know if you can even get down there quick enough, but
Well,
Andy
I've
Nett
seen
takes,
him disappear
well,
more quickly
that's true.
than that.
Watch this. I know that it's not on film, but you will see Andy grab his stuff and just head out of here. This is the men's 5th place. It's quite the honor to win 5th place, even though those at home say, you know, 5th place is nothing. Here at the Race for 8, when you get points for everything you do, getting 5th is a good gesture. Let's get Emmett in here, Dave, really quickly, and I know that we just interviewed him during halftime, and that only seemed to be about 2 minutes ago. Dave. But Emmett, congratulations. I mean, I know that he was not motivated, and it's probably kind of a strange feeling, but it seems that you were, and you did play well, and you actually, there was a span there, the first 8 points, where I felt that it was probably the best I've seen you play since your comeback.
Well, yeah, I didn't feel any pressure, so that's one thing. So I was able to put down my setups because I was given a lot of setups. So usually a player doesn't give me as many, so I feel a little bit more pressure to put away the setups, and I end up rushing a few and skipping them. This time he was a little bit off. Maybe he was demotivated, whatever the case may be. He missed a few shots and set me up a lot, so I was able to put down those setups.
5th place. It's something that you've tried to do a couple times. I know that you missed out in Fresno on 5th place, and I was trying to explain this earlier. For those at home, a lot of people at home think that 5th place sounds silly, but here on the race, it's actually the second best thing that you could possibly do is get those points, and you earned them here. This has been an interesting tournament, not only for yourself, but we've seen some old players, we've seen some injuries, we've seen some young players. What are your thoughts on this stop and some of the upsets that we've seen earlier?
Well, this stop so far has been a great turnout. What I'm surprised most about is the young players playing and how many players were actually at the clinic, which was great news to me. I would love to see more young players at more stops. So that was very surprising and wonderful, and I want that to continue. In regards to the upsets, that's amazing to see Sean Lenning ousted that early. But Anthony was playing great. It's definitely a server's game in there, in these courts in particular. And Anthony had a great serve to the left that cracked out. Now Sean is known for letting the player get a lead, but in this 25-point game format, he gave him too much of a lead. Anthony has had problems with closing in the past, but he's stuck with it, was able to crack out a few serves, and before you know it, Sean kind of went from napping to panic mode, and Anthony won. It was great to see. Also, to see Aaron Gardner almost make it to the finals is great news. I mean, I don't remember 2 brothers making it that far in a tournament other than the Silveras. So that's great news.
It's kind of an interesting side story here, and also that we almost saw 2 donuts in one round, in one match, which I don't know if we've seen that ever before on especially, here at a race stop we haven't seen it. But
you don't see somebody serving in the tiebreaker because he scored 1 point.
Well, that's what happened, though, here earlier today. But back to your game, it seems that you have, I felt in Tucson, before you played Alan Garner, it seemed to me that you were back. Now watching you play, it seems like you've got so many more dimensions to your game. I saw you ground and pound this week. I saw you do that aggressive 2008 Seattle style before your arm problem, and then I also saw you do kind of a more methodical game. And then at the end, you decided that you wanted to pick up the pace against Andy because you knew he was going to bring it. So you brought that style of game, which is something that we haven't seen either. So, what's going on with your injury and with you?
My injury, I'm about 90% with my arm. I'm able to do the shots I know I can do. The frustrating part beforehand was my arm endurance, so I had to build up for a tournament play. Like, I played Charlie, but then when I got to Allen, my arm was already tired and fatigued. So I'm just building up my endurance in my arm by doing shoulder stabilizing exercises. Also, I've been working on my serve, which really sucked against John Bike and Naughty. But today, against Anthony and Andy, I was able to show that I can serve the ball now. So I'm serving the ball. I'm able to go from the left side of the court down the right with my right. That was my main shot when I was younger, and that confused players because they didn't know which way to go. I'm able to do that again. So once I can start getting that down more often, I'll be able to make it to the top hopefully again.
Yeah, you were formerly #1, and it's sort of like somebody came in and took away about 30 of your shots.
Yeah.
And they said, now let's see if you can still be #1.
That's right.
And now you're starting to get those shots back. I know that one of those tricks that you had was to stand on the left and go inside out down the right wall with a lot of power, and the ball would slide.
That's right.
And because you can't do that with that torn labrum, you had the surgery there.
That's right.
You're now able to do that. But here's another thing that you've added to your game is that you have a nice little serve to the left reverse that's double bouncing.
That's right.
And it doesn't really matter how hard or how soft you hit it. It's just going to double bounce no matter what. And
that's right.
I saw that you hit that a few times, but then you went over to the right and you have a serve over there that's working too. So, you know, you're obviously working on that. Congratulations. I see you're still wearing your handball gloves as you come in to do the interview here, but congratulations on the success. I want to ask you one other thing, and that is about your music career.
Yeah.
Talk about it here. We have an audience. You currently have a new album out. Explain a little bit about your music and where you're at with it.
Well, I had 2 albums prior to this third one, studio albums. One was released in 2008, 2007 or 8. That was called Under Roses, and that was 14 tracks. And then I did another album in 2011, and that first album and second album were able to generate interest, and this producer from San Francisco heard those 2 albums and decided he wanted to do an album with me, and said that he could promote it and do certain things with it, which he's also starting up this company called the Bay Area Music Collective, and which brings artists through some sort of format that can bring them out to the public. And I became the front man of that Bay Area Music Collective. And so I made a video. You can go on YouTube, just type in Sky Burns Out, and you'll see that music video. This third album is also doing well on iTunes. And right now I'm trying to get it placed in movies. That seems to be the avenue that most musicians are going down. So I want to follow that avenue because it can bring me to a larger public. But also, I'm playing a lot of shows in San Francisco and Santa Cruz, and I'm trying to generate interest, and I am. I now have over 1,000 likes on my band page on Facebook, and you guys should all hear it.
And you can find that Facebook fan page. Look up Emmett Joseph Peixoto, which is your regular Facebook page, but you can link over to it from there.
You can, or you could just type in Emmett Peixoto.
In fact, here we are looking at
your
music video right now.
That's cool. That's a guitarist, Jeff Hayashi. That's my bass player, Bobby Hansen, and Ernest Carter, who played with Bruce Springsteen on drums.
We'll let this play just a little bit, Emmett.
Right.
Listen to it as those at home get a sample of your music here. How does it feel to have Bruce Springsteen's drummer in your video and on your album, and just, you know, mingling with that crowd must be, you know, a dream come true?
It's actually great news. Ernest is best friends with Santana, so he was able to give my CD to Santana, and Santana apparently loved it, and he's interested in meeting me, which is cool. And it's just fascinating to be in the musician world. So I'm in the athletic world, the musician world, and also the philosophy world. It's 3 worlds that are completely different, but I go and mingle with everybody, and it's kind of fun.
Well, thank you very much for stopping by the studio here for us and checking out what we have going on inside of our little tiny booth, as we also check out what goes inside your booth, your studio booth, your music studio booth there. Very nice, you know, knowing that you have picked up your game, you've changed, you know, your style, you've graduated from college, you're now back to your roots, which was music and still playing handball. It's the same
Still
old
gonna
Emmett.
go back to school to get my PhD, but I'm taking a year to 2 years off after my master's.
It's the same old Emmett, but kind of a new Emmett, too.
That's right. Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations
Thanks,
on
Dave.
5th place, and we'll see you at the next stop in Alaska.
I appreciate it.
Right. We have more Race for 8 action coming up right around the corner as the men's final right around with Charlie Shanks and Nadia Alvarado. Up next, you stick around for Dave Fink, Linda Manning, Chris Grad. My name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back with more action here at racefor8.com.
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles: It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Working and working out takes a lot of energy. That's why I drink Zenergy. Feeling fantastic and looking good has never been easier. Science, extreme science for your active lifestyle.